Hey gang, welcome to an all-new episode of Duvall's Collection Expansion Extravaganza right here on ToyWorldOrder.com. This is the marathon recording session for Carrie and I. As you can see, we're still wearing the same shirts we've been wearing now for a few episodes. Yeah.
We don't do costume changes.
No costume changes on the show, and there's still a lot of stuff. I mean, just a lot of stuff. That's what I collect is stuff. I like stuff. She doesn't like stuff that much, but I like stuff. No.
I like this stuff.
Well, let's start off.
I don't like this stuff.
Let's start off with stuffed animals. Some stuff, Carrie. Why don't you talk about these little guys?
No.
Why don't you go ahead? Tell the folks.
No.
Tell the viewers what's going on with these.
You talk, and I just stand here and nod my head at you.
And comment, social commentary. Carrie has decided that she wanted to start collecting. Since we collected so much random Mickey Mouse Disney stuffed animals, Carrie decided she would rather start collecting a certain brand of them than just try to collect all of them, because that's just ridiculous. The house would be overrun with Disney stuff. We would have to start putting toys upstairs.
That's not happening.
It's getting pretty close to that. But Carrie decided she was going to start collecting Knickerbocker. And Knickerbocker was a company that I don't think is still around. It was around really heavily in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and early 80s. And they made a lot of stuffed animals. Of course, they did a lot of Disney stuff. And we found, Carrie found some Knickerbocker Mickeys. This one with the classic Mickey Mouse Club logo on his chest.
He came in a lot of other toys.
Yes.
I probably would not have bought him by himself because his eyes falling off.
His eyes falling off, his nose. Yeah.
But he came with a bunch of other ones, so...
We actually have a Minnie Mouse, I think, that has the Mickey Mouse Club logo on her. So this is kind of the companion piece to that Minnie Mouse. But Knickerbocker Mickey, this one was done in 1976, so a year before I was born. This little guy is 37 years old. Do the math. That's how old I am. 1 year less. So, I think, is that right? Yeah, that's right. I'm good at math. Math's not good. That's much. This other Knickerbocker Mickey was done...
I don't see you.
Yeah. No date on this little guy, but this little is more of a classic Mickey than this one from '76. This one's more of a classic style Mickey Mouse with the red shorts and the bow tie. He's kind of cute, I think. I don't know. Carrie likes it a lot, but he's kind of disturbing looking just a tiny bit, just because the way this stuffed animal is formed. Like he's like got this. I don't know if you can tell from this angle, but it's a very long face instead of like the Mickey Mouse we all know and love. It's just kind of squashed. It's almost like he's a Persian Mickey Mouse. You know, Persian cats have the squash face, and this is the Persian Mickey Mouse version of stuffed animals. So, but yeah, Carrie decided she would start collecting Knickerbocker Mickeys, or at least Knickerbocker Disney stuff, because that seems to be what is most abundant that we find in the wild is Knickerbocker stuff. So, yeah, I think both these came in a lot. I think bought a big lot. We were at an auction. Carrie thought she was bidding on an item. Turns out she won all of the stuffed animals in that lot for $2.50. So when she was like, babe, just go over there and pick one up, the auctioneer went, oh no, honey, you won all of that for $2.50. And she went, oh, and I was like, well, it makes my life easier. Just dumped them all into a bin and went, okay, we're done. So very cool little Knickerbocker stuff, and something that she keeps her eyes open for now to hunt down and look for. So very cool stuff. Move on up with these guys over here. The next little stuffed animal is goes along with Carrie's little infatuation with Smurfs. We found a little...
We have a couple other ones of these,
yeah,
right?
a couple of them. Little Smurf beanie doll, who's very cute. I don't know what he's filled with, but I don't think it's beans. It might be one of those...
with the nuts or whatever?
The nuts, yeah.
It does feel like that.
Yeah, it does feel like they're crushed nuts.
Sounds like it, too.
Very cool, though. Carrie's been buying a lot of Smurf stuff as we see it, stuffed animal-wise. It was something, I think we've got a little Papa Smurf like this. So it's something, just a regular little Smurf to add to her little Papa Smurf. La 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 la. My Smurf farted. But Smurf stuff is very cute, and that's one of Carrie's favorite. Smurfs, Alvin and the Chipmunks, and then baby versions of characters are probably top 3 on her list of all time. I must have all of them thing.
I must not have all of them.
Don't let her lie to you. She has a problem when it comes, especially when it comes to Disney Babies or Muppet Babies or anything baby that's licensed. Speaking of Muppet Babies, see, problem. This actually is a rubber stamp, packaged rubber stamp from oh, I don't know when this was from. 84 Pepperwood. This was Stampos, rubber stamps, and there were 4 of them. There were Baby Miss Piggy, Baby Kermit, the Baby Fozzie, which is here, and Baby Gonzo. We found this. I think we paid, I don't know what we paid for this. Nothing, almost, I don't think. The bubble is really crushed, but the card art is super cute. And the little Fozzie in there, I don't know if the ink's any good on this thing,
yeah,
but...
I'm not going to stamp with this.
No, but he's pretty cute, and Carrie was like, oh my god, what is that? We must go home with it. So, again, problem.
Really?
Problem? I openly admit I have a problem. This one is still closet case, where it's like, I don't have a problem. And she's like, I must have all the Muppet Babies that I can find. They must all belong to me.
Yes, that's exactly what I've said.
It's in her head. She didn't say it out loud, but I can tell. Sometimes,
move on.
Sometimes I can tell what she's thinking. But very cute little Muppet Baby item for, for the redhead here. Ow! Nice little stamper for the wife. Again, it's that kind of stuff that she loves. I thought this was cool. This is actually a complete guide to Disneyland from 1957. It does have a little bit of damage. It's the front cover and the first few pages look like a mouse might have decided to have lunch with it. But everything else in here is in relatively good shape. I mean, this was, of course, you know, very, very close to the opening of, you know, a couple of years later where everything was still, you know, you had the old school Tomorrowland, you had Frontierland, just a lot of great stuff in this 1957 Disneyland guide. I love these old guides. I have a number of these old guides, and this was one that I was like, we saw it at a, welcome back to the show, Chase Duvall. I don't know, last few shows we've taped, he's just being very needy, so, which is fine. Pay no attention to the dog on the counter, pay attention to us. But very cool from 1957, and like I said, I have a number of these guidebooks that I've been buying that are older guidebooks, because it's always fun to look at them to see what's changed in the parks through the years.
Yeah.
As you go chronologically through the guidebooks, you're saying, oh, well, that's gone, that's new, that's new. But
or
yeah,
that's what that used to look like before.
That's what that used to look like, yeah. Yeah, 1957. Again, you know, it's got some damage on the first several pages here. Again, it just looks like a mouse was like, I'm not gonna chew on it because I don't know where this guidebook's been. Very cool though. I'm very happy to add that to the growing guidebook collection that has become most of my kids' books. A couple of puzzles before I move on to the action figure stuff, which there's quite a bit of it. A couple of puzzles I found. This actually came from, I don't remember where I got this one from. This is actually an awesome 200-piece Centurions puzzle. Awesome looking. I love these old puzzles, and I did sit there and count out all the pieces. I paid $5 for it. Sat down, counted, made sure there was 200 pieces, made sure they were all there. That's because that's what we've been doing for puzzles these days. So, but this was very cool to find and to buy. I was like, well, I don't have a Centurions puzzle. Eventually, I'd like to put all these like licensed puzzles together and frame them. Because these would look really good, I think, in a frame of, you know, they're not very big. This one's 14 inches by 18 inches, so it's not terribly big. Just a little over a foot. So it's very cool looking. The original tag on it, they were 2 for $3. So they were $1.50 a piece. Love these old licensed puzzles, and when I can find them, see?
Never heard of that store.
Yeah. TG and Y, don't think they're open anymore. Love these old puzzles, though. Try to find them when I can. We found a couple, I think there's some that we haven't shown yet that are actually still sealed. That have never been opened. So we've been finding a lot of licensed puzzles recently and picking them up when they're complete. So very cool. The other licensed puzzle I have for you is a 100-piece Alf puzzle. How awesome is that? I love it. It's Alf doing
many tasks at once.
Yes, he's putting up wallpaper, but he's doing his border, his little kitty cats, because Alf liked to eat cats. So you know it's one of his favorite food items. And again, this is another one that's
That's actually mostly put together. You
yep,
just have
it's
to...
all. Somebody just went through the trouble to piece it and break it up into 4 separate chunks, and so it is all there. Again, another one where, you know, we don't usually buy puzzles unless they're complete, and this one was complete, so we picked it up and I brought it home, and again, Carrie was like, another puzzle, and I was like, but it's all there.
And it's Alf.
And it's Alf.
Who doesn't love Alf?
Yeah. Another one that's 11 by 16 inches, so again, not a big puzzle. But again, something I'd like to frame and display somewhere. Just display all the puzzles together. I think it'd be really cool.
It would. I just don't know where you would do that.
A lot of wall space coming down the stairs into the basement. That would look cool there. No? Yes? Maybe so? I think it'd look cool. What do I know? I'm just the guy in the relationship. I'm just the husband.
That's right.
That's worth a try. Thought maybe I'd get a little sympathy for that.
Nope.
In the last episode, we showed some book and record sets, mostly Star Wars. This one, I'm going to show a few other book and record set that I found. I think this was an extra one, actually. I've got one of these before, but I found another Power of Point Dread and Danger at Castle Grayskull book and record set that came with the Point Dread and Talon Fighter. Still got the record, and of course, we've looked at this before, but great artwork in these old Masters of the Universe books. These were just basically enlarged mini comics with book and record sets, because that's what they were. Of course, on the back, you've got the original, basically the original first couple waves of figures on the back, which is pretty cool. This was very neat. This one didn't have a record in it, but I found a classic Dungeons & Dragons Attack of the Assassins, which is pretty cool. No record. It had a record in it, but it was not the record that went with it. Great artwork featuring some of the figures from the old toy line that came out that TSR licensed, because these characters were actually characters from that toy line. So this was very cool to find. Another Masters of the Universe book and record set, an actual book and record set. This one was for Cavern of Fear, and of course this one still has the record. But just the great artwork in these classic books are pretty fun. These were the storybooks. These were the ones that you could actually buy in the stores, where the other one was the one that came with the toy. This was one that you could buy a number of different ways. You could buy book and record. You could buy just the storybook version of it. There was a big hardback version of it that was, so they printed these Masters of the Universe storybooks in a lot of different ways. Another one I found was Walt Disney Productions' The Black Hole, based on the feature film with the record set. There's a couple torn pages in here. It looks like, just the bottoms of them, but a great book and record set with pictures from the film. So you've got Vincent and Old Bob. For anyone who's seen this movie, not a great sci-fi movie, but it's something I think every Disney fan should see, because it was their attempt to cash in on Star Wars money. Didn't work so well, but some cool cult classic characters came out of that film. And the last book and record set I found was Star Wars Adventures in Colors and Shapes. Why not, right? Not a Star Wars guy, but again, the record's in there. You've got, of course, R2-D2 learning what white is and what brown is. Of course, brown's represented by Ewok. Of course, apparently Han and Chewie are there to help him out. Very interesting little book and record set. Something I'd never seen before was Adventures in Colors and Shapes. But eventually, one of these days, I'll actually get a record player and maybe be able to put all these on MP3s so I can actually listen to them, because I've never heard any of these. That's my goal one day, is to get a record player so I can play all these. Something I can just transfer easy. And then I found a couple of storybooks, kid storybooks. One of them actually Carrie found for me, and was a quarter. Was this awesome Muppet Christmas Carol storybook, based on the Disney release of the Muppet Christmas Carol. And of course, it's just a storybook with pictures, and of course tells the story basically of the movie.
I've never seen it.
Never seen a Muppet Christmas Carol? Cute
so.
Little movie. It's very good.
You think I would, but I don't think I have.
She hadn't seen The Little Mermaid until recently, so
yeah. What can I say?
We'll have to watch it sometime. We'll watch it at Christmas time, actually. That'll be one of our Christmas movies we watch, is Muppet Christmas Carol. Cute little movie. Love this movie. Carrie found this. We found it at a garage sale, and it was in a bin. She was like, look what I found. And I was like, I don't have that. We're going to buy it. And it was a quarter. And then the last one was one more, kind of what I was saying about the larger scale Masters of the Universe storybooks, was a Hero in Need. And this actually was one that was a book and record set at one time. But this is one of the larger ones. That's just the larger storybooks. And this is interesting because while these were retail, this was actually a weekly reader book. So this was a book club book that they released. But it's still a golden book. So these things were printed all kinds of different ways for all kinds of different companies, for all kinds of different things. It's just amazing how many different versions of these books exist. And this one's very flimsy, where the regular golden book was a much thicker. But since it was a weekly reader, I don't know if you can tell, but you can literally see through the page. That's how cheaply these weekly reader books were made, where the other ones were much more, much better quality. So this was very cool, though. But for something printed in 1986, it's always fun to find these and add them to the collection. Let's move on to some action figure stuff. Quite a bit, actually. A huge collection of stuff. But the one thing I want to show off, I might have showed this off the companion piece off on an old Flea Market Finds way back when. But
before
I found
me.
Before Carrie, well, not before,
Well,
before she joined me full time here.
Before you
on the
made
show.
me.
I didn't make her. Not really. I found the RoboCop and the Ultra Police Skullhog motorcycle. I've got the Hero, the actual RoboCop motorcycle. Skullhog was one that I did not have. I did not have this. This was the bad guys, the Vandals, one of their mode of transportation. Had a firing missile on the front of it. Bought this at the Kane County Toy Show. I had the hiccups there for a second. Bought it at the Kane County Toy Show for around $7, and it was, like I said, it's one I don't have. I don't have most of the vehicles for this line, but the smaller ones I was very happy to find. So Skullhog, which is awesome. It's a great little toy. So to wrap up the action figure stuff, I got quite a bit of action figure, quite a big collection. One of these came from a toy show. The rest of these came from, pretty much the rest of them came from my buddy Brent Scrano. He runs a BlueJay.com store, BLUJAY.com. His store is called Scar. It's actually called Scar1321 on BlueJay.com, but it's Shop1321 is actually the name of it. And he sells, he's been collecting for years. And to kind of fund his collection, he opened this Blue Jay store where he sells a lot of the duplicates, a lot of parts, a lot of accessories and stuff for action figure lines. And it's where I've been able to complete a lot of my action figure lines was through Brent's store because he just had a ton of stuff. So I've been able to complete a lot of stuff from Supernaturals to some Visionary figures to a lot of other items that I was like, I need those pieces. And Brent's like, they're in my store. So check it out, Shop1321 on BlueJay.com. Actually, Scar1321 on BlueJay.com. Check it out. But I had a Toxic Crusader figure from the Toxic Crusaders line for years. It was one I had from when I was a kid. But I managed to find, pretty much thanks to Brent, almost, well, literally the rest of the line. Psycho, who's one of the villains, found everything but one of his head tubes here through Brent's store.
These, when I see these, I think of the Ghostbusters stuff you have.
Yeah, and Ninja Turtles, because they were made by the same company, Playmates.
Ninja Turtles, yes.
Playmates made Ninja Turtles. They made Toxic Crusaders as well. These figures are great, so they all have like glow-in-the-dark parts. Yep, this is No Zone. Oops. There goes No Zone's.
Chase is lay down. And...
Oh, okay, well, whatever works. So No Zone, who had his backpack. He had slime, so you could put slime in his backpack and put it in his head. He got a little wheel. These crazy
this
lines.
reminds me of one of like the monsters.
Yes. So you had, oh God, I can't remember some of their names, unfortunately. But they all had like glow-in-the-dark parts and glow-in-the-dark weapons. Very cool line. Like I said, a number of them though, like Major Disaster. There's still some parts that I'm missing to some of these that Brent did not have. That, of course, Brent, being the guy that he is, was like, I'll be on the lookout. If I find more of this stuff, I'll let you know. Because there's just a few things that I need for a few figures. But Major Disaster, who was one of the good guys, who was kind of cool. These just greatly sculpted, amazingly designed figures. Love these figures. You have Junkyard, who's who's the big mutant dog with the lolling tongue. Got a little bone in there. They all came with a lot of accessories too, but Junkyard is pretty cool. You've got
this one's neat, like two-headed guy.
Yes. I think this is Headbanger, I think is his name. One side you got I mean, he was one of the bad guys, but it was like an evil scientist and a surfer dude, so he could awesome. Radiation Ranger, who's one of the troops for the villain. And then, of course, the actual villain, and I need his belt, which is in Brent's store still. But this is, let's see, that goes in there. And then his backpack, he's got a belt that goes around his backpack. But the actual villain of the line, who I've been looking for a while. Very cool, very cool, very cool toy line. And I cannot say enough that if you can find this toy line, if you can grab it for affordable, and you can find it complete, I would say pick them up because they're very worth having. And
they have...
There were a number of vehicles. Yeah, there were a number of vehicles out for the line, but I found one of them at a Toyman toy show. The Smog Cycle. These vehicles are hard to find. There was the Hideous Hovercraft. There was the Crusader Skater. There was the Toxic Turf Surfer. But the Smog Cycle was something. I had all these vehicles when I was a kid. Would love to know what happened to them. Had this whole line of toys when I was a kid, and they just vanished over time. But the Smog Cycle, these vehicles are really, really hard to find. complete. They usually go for quite a bit of money. I think I paid $10 for the Smog Cycle. And this is something that eventually I probably will open and display, because these vehicles are just they're just amazing detail on it. Just like a lot of boogers and snot and garbage and just nasty stuff.
Was this a cartoon or was
this? It was actually, I have this entire cartoon on DVD.
Never heard of it.
They released it. Well, you've heard of the Toxic Crusader.
Have I? No.
He was Toxic Crusader was a cult classic film created by Lloyd Kaufman in the early '80s, and they made a number of movies. I think 4 altogether, 5 maybe. Low budget horror movies basically, but they were comedies. They were really dark comedy kind of thing. They were actually really funny and very, very disgusting, very violent, very gross. But they did a cartoon series called The Toxic Crusaders, where Toxie and his friends were trying to clean up the pollution, and Dr. Killimov, who was the bad guy, who I just was like, I remember his name now. He and his bad guys were trying to pollute the Earth because he's an alien and he breathes better with pollution, so he's trying to turn our world into his so he can live. And Toxie and his friends are trying to stop him. So, not a great cartoon though. It's not good. I had the entire thing on DVD because it came with a set of Toxie movies, and I watched it one day and went, I can't. I got through 2 episodes and went, can't do any more. He's straight up going to sleep on the counter here. Goodness, buddy. Awesome line, though. Toxic Crusaders is a great line, and I love this line. Hopefully I'll be able to finish them off. I've got all the figures, just need a couple accessories, and eventually I'd love to find the rest of the vehicles. So, cool line, though. Cool line from Playmates, and the reason they're hard to find is because Ninja Turtle fans and Ninja Turtle collectors are buying them because they fit in so perfectly with vintage Ninja Turtle figures. I mean, just literally perfectly with Ninja Turtles. They fit in great. So, awesome line. We've got a couple of character glasses we'll show, and then we'll do some board games.
Yeah, we haven't shown any glasses for a while.
Not for a while. Again, this goes back to Carrie's infatuation with
Cartoon Babies.
Cartoon Babies. These were actually based on the Flintstone kids from 1986. We found Fred and we found Wilma of this line from Pizza Hut.
She's hula hooping.
Yes, she is hula hooping. And Fred's listening to his portable Rockman. I don't know if that's the name, but I just made that up out of my head. It's awesome.
It probably is.
These were from Pizza Hut. They had a number of them. I think there's a Betty and a Barney that we have not found yet, but we did find Wilma and Fred, or Freddy, as he's known when he was younger.
We see the glasses a lot, but I don't want to pay more than $3 or $4 for them. So
well, the problem is the reason we don't pay more than like $4 for a glass is because the prices are all over the place on these collector glasses. They could be anywhere from $1, which is what we usually really like to find them at, to $26, $30, and it's like.
Yeah.
Why? For a collector glass? And some of them are like, we've seen these Flintstone glasses for upwards of $30.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I mean, they're pretty abundant because we see them everywhere. But we managed to find these for just a few bucks, I think, a piece. And we were like, well, we don't see them for that price very often. We're going to buy Fred and Wilma, and we'll eventually find Barney and Betty somewhere down the line. But these are awesome collector glasses, and the collector glass collection just keeps growing to eventually, I don't know where we're going to put them all, because we're going to need more room for the collector glasses.
I think, well, we're getting close to finishing off all the ones we want, I think.
I think so. We'll put those up there for now. I think we're getting pretty close to that. Let's wrap up with some board games. I got 3 board games to show you, which are pretty cool. This one actually, people probably remember this game. You can currently still buy this game, as they still make this game, and it is called Buckaroo. This is actually one of the earliest Buckaroo games. One of the I won't say the first one, but it's one of the earliest ones. It's from Ideal.
Now, when you say they can still buy it, what do you mean? They're still making it?
They're still making a game called Buckaroo that uses the same idea. This is from 1970, this Buckaroo game. And again, I love these Ideal games because we find them, and they're always...
Again, there's not usually a game board. It's all...
But this is what it looked like when you would buy it. I mean, people that have bought Ideal games have kept the inserts together because it's, they make nice display pieces looking like this. But the basic idea is you would put him on a stand, you would stack stuff on his back, and he had a spring, and once he got too heavy, it literally would launch the spring, and he would kick everything off of his back, and whoever he did that to was the loser.
Neat.
Like I said, these Ideal games are great, and I've got another one here from Ideal to show you that is pretty much the same thing. But it seems like the more you find Ideal games, people kept all of the inserts for them because it was easy to store the game within the inserts. So you really find these in really good condition pretty much all the time. At least we do. For I think we paid $5 for this, $6, somewhere around there. This was found on the Spoon River Drive, which is the first 2 weekends in October, and this was some of the few, really only a few things we found on the Spoon River Drive this year were mostly board games for board, and they were cheap, so we usually buy them when we can find them like this. But again, Buckaroo, they still make this game. You can still find it. I think either Mattel or Hasbro, one of the two, still makes Buckaroo. And they've done a number of different Buckaroos. I think they did one for Toy Story that was Bullseye.
Oh, neat. That makes sense.
And it was the same idea. So Buckaroo is very cool. It's a very cool game. Next up is another ideal game. This one is the Game of Panic. Do you have the nerve to play? And again, just like all ideal games,
this one actually has a game board.
This one does actually have a game board. I won't tilt this up too far, but again, ideal game, they've kept all of the inserts. They've kept all of the inserts for the actual panic box and everything else. So, very cool game. I'm not quite sure how this game works. I know that you've got all these little panic discs that you're supposed to put in the panic box. It's got panic cards. It's got all the dice and everything. It's got all the little pawns. Very neat game. This one's in just a little bit rougher shape, the inside of it is, than most of the stuff. But I'm not sure how the panic box actually works. This is one of those games that I was like, I don't know how this game works, but it looks fun. Again, though, ideal in the 60s. I think this was 1965. Yes, 1965 was the date on this. And ideal in the 60s, and at least the 70s, most of the games they made were all family games for the most part. I mean, anyone of any age could play these games. And that was the big drawing point of these ideal games. And I think that's why there's so many of them out there now, and why they're pretty easy to find, is the fact that so many families had these games in the 60s. And these are great games today if you have family game nights. You know, if you're out and about at garage sales or at an auction or flea markets, and you see a bunch of these ideal games and they're affordable for you and they're complete, I would say buy them and play them with your family, because they are still great family games and they still make a heck of a lot of fun. I mean, we've got a whole bunch of ideal games that are...
And they're different than the games that are... Like, the games that are out now are like, move 3 spaces.
Yeah.
And then that's about it.
Yeah.
Like, this is like a whole different idea.
These actually had a lot of thought put into them for the making of these games, and very interactive for their time. So, very cool game. One more to wrap up this episode.
Knock, knock.
Yes, this is actually a pretty interesting game. This is something we're going to play on board. This was actually a board game by Milton Bradley. This was in, I don't know when this was. It's got to be the 70s, at least. No, in 82, so I was close. But it's a game called Knock Knock. Lots of silly knock knock jokes inside. It literally is a board game built around knock knock jokes. Yeah, they did that.
What's this one on the front?
Knock knock. Who's there? Rich. Rich who? Reach for the sky. This is a hold up. Yeah. So, but yeah, a board game built all around knock knock jokes, which is pretty funny. And this is actually,
all the knock knock jokes aren't as dumb as that one.
Well, this one, it's got a pretty unique board. It's built all the doors, of course, because it's knock knock. But this game,
it's not even been opened.
No, this game has never been played. It is all still sealed.
Oh yeah, look, this hasn't been punched or anything.
Still sealed in all its original packaging. This is one that we will play on board. The spinner is actually part of the box, so the spinner is actually the bottom part of the box there. This is something we will play on board eventually. This is the reason I bought it. Paid $6 for it. Just one of those odd games that I was like, I didn't know they made a knock knock joke game. I'm going to buy that because that's going to be hysterical on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Very excited to find this. So, yeah, but seeing as it's never used, not often you find a lot of games like this that have never been opened, never been used, but some people find old store stock, like the Wacky Wizard game from last episode, where you find that stuff and you just pick it up when you can. So, awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Glad to show it to you guys this episode. Make sure, if you're watching this on ToyWorldOrder.com or somewhere else, go to YouTube.com/ToyWorldOrder. Subscribe to us. It helps us out greatly. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at Puppet Duvall. You can follow this one at Mrs. Duvall. And there you go, guys. That'll wrap it up for this episode of Collection Expansion. Make sure you guys keep digging, because like we always say, you never know quite who or what you'll find. He's got a wheel for a foot. Take care, guys.